Welcome back, everybody, to the AFC Northcast. I know it's been so long since you've seen us because you watch and listen to every episode, and we appreciate that. But, yeah, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging out. Today, we are joined by, well, first off, I'm Justin, and we're joined by Joey. And we have finally welcomed back Chad to the AFC Northcast.
Guess who's back again.
Jacked and tan after my time. You that color.
Yeah, you burn well.
You're glowing.
Yeah.
Glowing.
Sun-kissed.
Sun-kissed. Fantastic. Jeez. But, yep, so we are live right now watching the Thursday night game, which is underwhelming to say the least. Redskins-Vikings. I mean, I wonder who plans these Thursday night games. Like, I don't know, but this game's not that exciting right now. But in about, 2 weeks from now? The Steelers and the Browns? Is that 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now? 2 weeks, right? So anyways, they're going to be playing each other on Thursday night, and we're going to be podcasting while it happens. So we want you to come hang out with us while we do it. So come check us out live on Facebook, on Facebook, on Twitch, and on YouTube. 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Thursday night. It's going to be a blast, everybody. A blast. But this week, we're going to be going into NFL Week 8 preview. The Ravens are on a bye week, but we do have the other three teams representing Steelers and the Browns coming off the bye week. But before we get into the games, let's talk about some news. You guys got any news?
All right. So I have a little bit of news. It's not great, crazy news. But I am already in tear down the Patriots mode. And some interesting things happened this week. The Ravens cut Justin Bethel because they signed him in the offseason, and by cutting him, they gain a compensatory pick for losing Brent Urban. It's like a third or fourth rounder. So it was inevitable. Everybody pretty much knew the Ravens were going to cut him, and Justin will love this. Guess who picked him up?
The Browns or the Patriots?
The Patriots.
I was just about to say, yeah.
And to fill that roster spot, the Patriots cut another special teams playing defensive back named Jordan Richards. And the Ravens picked him up.
So they just circled those
guys.
So
the Ravens and Patriots are playing spy games already 2 weeks ahead of their matchup with each other.
Absolutely.
Incredible.
Man. Look, I'm telling you, man. It's real shit. But
reinvent the playbooks. They got to rebuild it all from the ground up.
Ground up. Awesome. Any other news?
One of the Steelers players might have hit his girlfriend, so he's sort of suspended. We don't talk about that stuff because
we talked about
basically
it
seems like they all do it. So see you later, Anthony Chickalo.
Yeah.
It was nice having you. He's still getting paid. He's just not allowed to practice until they finish.
Figuring it out. Yeah.
So the Steelers.
Michael Bennett ended up going to the Cowboys for a 7th rounder. Apparently, is that real news or is that fake news? Because we were talking about apparently the Ravens, were spying on him, or trying to pick him up.
Depends where you saw it, buddy.
Well, Gary Thomas just told us on Facebook, buddy.
Oh wow.
Well,
that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Let's see, Adam Schefter. Yeah. To Dallas for a 7th round pick that can go to a 6th round pick.
Dang. What a steal.
Man, New England kind of got butt fucked in that, I think.
Yeah. I don't know,
a 6th
man.
or 7th round pick, that doesn't seem like much. Michael Bennett was suspended by the team from practice last week, leading into the Jets game for what Michael Bennett called philosophical differences with his position coach. So
nice.
Maybe that had something to do with it.
Maybe.
It might have been a little cancer surgery by Mr. Belichick there.
Absolutely. He's not afraid to do it, man. He don't care.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And who was it, said yesterday, Belichick will turn a wet towel into an MVP candidate, so fucking figure it out. Picking dudes up at fucking, where was it, like Chick-fil-A or Popeyes or some shit last year? Like,
well, that was like the guy, Jonas Gray, that running back.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
And he had like 200 yards rushing on a primetime game, and like 3 weeks later, he was not even on the team.
Yeah. Jeez. That's wild, man. But whatever. So we were going to have Dylan on today since we are talking a little bit about the Patriots, but unfortunately we had some scheduling conflicts, so we'll have to wait for him until next week. But hey, rest assured the Patriots play everybody this year, so he'll still have plenty to talk about with us when it comes to that. So you guys want to get into the games, I guess? Just roll right into it?
Yeah, man.
All right, let's start off talking about the Bengals. So the Bengals... Sorry. Hold on.
Well, they're playing the Rams.
Yeah,
while you're looking stuff up, maybe you can help clear this up for me, because I think CBS Sports might have mucked it up. This game is being played in London. Is that correct?
That's correct. But
it's
Sunday at 1
in the morning. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So, look, we're all going to talk about the Bengals and how they're not good. But this week, everyone on the Bengals gets to have gone to an international city and done some sightseeing. So this is a good week.
Free trip.
Yeah.
Free trip.
Free trip. And I have another Bengals thought. A few weeks ago, we were hypothesizing about the Bengals offense and how Zach Taylor, maybe he lost a couple pages out of the playbook. I'm thinking this week he can relearn the playbook by watching Sean McVay run the missing plays against his team. So, this is the week that the Bengals get it all together next week.
There you go.
I will say that the Rams have been underwhelming based off of what people predicted from them this year. I mean, there is always the hangover, I guess. But I don't know about that, man. That's tall order. Tall order if you ask me.
Well, he's going to learn it this week for next week.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Who do they play next week?
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll figure it out when we get to it. We're professionals. We swear. But anyways, yeah, I don't know, man. The Bengals are coming off of a pretty bad loss against the Jaguars. And I don't mean bad, I mean embarrassing, right? The first 3 quarters, they were neck and neck the whole time, and then just fell completely apart in the fourth quarter. Andy Dalton made a fool of himself. The entire stadium in Cincinnati was booing their own team since the second drive. That's gotta be awful. And as a Browns fan, trust me, seen it. But I just can't feel good from the Bengals standpoint. So morale has got to be extremely low right now. So I don't know. When you've got a wounded team and a wounded spirit, it's gonna be tough to pull out a W. Going all the way to London and playing against the returning Super Bowl, I guess, participants. Yeah.
Is it wrong for me to be looking at the Bengals and basically retracting myself back into preseason mode? I started thinking about this game and I was like, you know what? I'm going to get psyched up when I see number 57 on the field. That's Jermaine Pratt. I was obviously down on him in the preseason, but he's going to be getting more and more snaps. I'm going to come clean with you guys. I didn't watch any of the games last week, but I'm assuming Jermaine Pratt got more snaps and he's been continuing to be in the rotation at linebacker.
I think he started against Jacksonville.
So, I want to see him get better. He's a pick for them, and he's a guy that they're invested in. And also a guy that I was really excited about in the preseason, Andrew Brown, number 93. They've had a lot of defensive lineman injuries, and I think now is a time that we might start to see him start to get some more snaps. Number 93, he was super disruptive in the preseason and fun to watch. Big old mammoth crushing people down there in the middle. So yeah, I'm on defense. I'm excited to watch those guys. On offense, I'm kind of a little less excited. But Drew Sample, their tight end rookie, number 89, he was getting in a couple weeks ago a little bit, and his blocking is coming along. He's not going to get the receiving targets because CJ Uzama and Tyler Eifert are both much more polished than he is. But he's going to come in those 2 tight end sets every once in a while. They don't do it very often, and he's been blocking better. So I'm going to keep my eye out for him too, and see what kind of young core this team is going to have to start building around.
Yeah, I feel like the Bengals would serve themselves best by kind of going into evaluation mode for the season. You're 0-7. AJ Green's very likely gone after this year if he finishes the season with you. Probably not this week, but I mean, next week is the bye, and if you go in 0-8, which everybody pretty much expects, seems like a perfect time to transition your quarterback potentially and see what you've got. So yeah, kind of preseason feel for sure. Everything's about moral victories at this point for the Bengals.
Yeah. Gary thinks that the Bengals might have more fans in London than they do in Cincinnati. I will say, I think the Bengals do have a pretty small fan base, to be honest with you. But yeah, I don't know. London?
Yeah, nationally, they're pretty small. And it's interesting, if you actually look at the London games, the same teams are the home teams every year. So, like, the Jags have a home game there.
Right.
This is a home game for the Rams,
Mm-hmm.
I believe. They've been there a lot. So, the Raiders,
Right.
So,
yeah, I don't know.
It's a lot of travel for LA. We always talk about how far it is to travel from like San Diego to New York, or for us, Pittsburgh, let's say. Dude, they're going all the way to London. Do we think that they might just show up to the field on the wrong day and then maybe Cincinnati gets a win?
Yeah,
I'm not really privy
to
wins. Like some of the travel stuff. It hasn't been as publicized as like the Raiders-Bears game. There was a big deal about the Raiders went right to London after their game on Sunday and got there on Monday. And the Bears had their practice week at home in Chicago and then went. And the Bears looked kind of doo-doo, and the Raiders took it to them. So, yeah, that big travel does funky things to teams, and it tends to be a bit of an equalizer. Weird things happen in London, man.
Is there like any chance the Bengals win this game?
Yeah, I mean, any given Sunday, right? You've seen some bad teams beat some good teams on some weird days. So I think to say like 0% chance, but 99-1, like, yeah, it's probably close.
If they can't run the football, there's no chance.
I saw
Aaron Donald, seeing what we've seen good defensive fronts do to the Bengals, like the Steelers game. If Andy Dalton's dropping back to pass 45 times, that is a recipe for disaster.
That is a recipe for disaster. Here's another question about the Bengals. It's not exactly about this game, but I keep hearing that AJ Green wants to stay in Cincinnati. Are you guys getting that same sort of intel?
I got a different vibe from that, and the announcers were talking a little bit something different last week, because he seems to be healthy but is still not playing for some reason. And I guess the rumor that was going around, not rumor, I won't even say that, but what the announcers were proposing was the idea that, maybe AJ Green is healthy, sure, but he's saying, like, I'm not going to be here next year, so y'all need to kind of figure out how to play without me. I'm not sure how much I believe that, but I thought it was an interesting take.
I think he's made comments to the press about, and he's been saying the right things about, like, I'm in Cincinnati, I want to finish my contract here, but I think it was more in reference to this year, vice like long term, trying to get an extension done or something like that.
Okay. I believed it. I don't know. I'm a simple, trusting man. And I was just like, yeah, maybe he's got a home there. The fans love him. He gets treated like the way he deserves, which is the best player a lot of these fans have ever had.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It is hard to believe because, like, first of all due respect to all the Midwest people that make up basically 3/4 of our podcast listeners, but it's the Midwest. Like, why would you want to live there? Which is why I don't get how Miami struggles to keep players so much. It's like, dude, it's Miami. All you have to do is fake wanting to win, just the thinnest shroud over the surface of the partying and the food and the booze and the deep sea fishing charter boats. And people will want to be there. They will want to be there so hard. Nobody wants to be in Cincinnati. Nobody wants chili that's all liquidy with noodles in it. Nobody actually wants it. Nobody.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
And you also got to be careful in Miami, though, to not confess your love for a stripper while doing a line of blow on a live video feed. That's real tough to avoid down there. So, do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Wasn't
No.
that was Miami?
Yeah, I was a coach in Miami.
Yeah.
Never mind.
The offensive Chris Forster, the offensive line coach that fell in love with a stripper and
just posted a video of him doing a line of blow, like confessing his love. Blow is cocaine. I know you guys are, deep in it, but it's so.
Chad thought you were talking about the lollipops with the bubble gum in the middle.
Oh yeah,
That's
okay,
right.
Yeah.
Blow
That's
pops.
right.
Yeah.
They are so good.
So let's move on and start talking about the Steelers, because we don't really have much else to say, and we are kind of talking about Miami as is. But before we get into the game itself, actually, Al on Facebook wants to know, and for you, Chad, I would say, what about Mike Tomlin's future in Pittsburgh? What's your thoughts on it?
He'll be there as long as he wants to be.
You think
I think
he's
so too.
got like signed, sealed ticket? Just
The Steelers are a consistent organization, man.
We talked about this last week, right? So the Pittsburgh
week before last
Steelers had Chuck Noll, and if I'm remembering correctly, because it was before I was like alive, basically. But Chuck Noll retired of his own accord, and then they hired Bill Cowher, and then he retired of his own accord, and then they hired Mike Tomlin. It's like they don't fire
40 years
people.
of coaching.
And I know that Steelers fans have incredibly high expectations all the time, but I'm going to say this once a week until I get it through everybody's heads. The Steelers have never had a losing season under Mike Tomlin. That includes 2013 when they started 0-4, okay? I'm sorry, Sean. I know you're on your honeymoon, so hopefully you're not even listening to this. I know you don't like Mike Tomlin. He's a good coach. He's not good at everything that great coaches might be good at, but he is definitely a good head coach. And so they're not going to fire him. So, it's very common for them to extend the coach the year of or the year right before they're due. So they'll probably talk at the end of this year, and he's going to be around. That's the way it is. Now the coordinators. I don't know. I mean, if as of 2 weeks ago, I would have said they might have only one face you recognize, and it would be Mike Tomlin, because their special teams, Danny Smith, he's been on borrowed time for a while now, and Fiechner, he's pretty new, but I think we've seen some real inspired stuff from the coordinators over the last couple weeks. So I'm very disappointed, you guys, with the state of the division. We don't need to go into it, but I will say this. The Steelers have been steadily improving all year, and it's in no small part due to the work the coordinators have done, particularly Randy Fiechner with the quarterback injuries. So we'll see. They got to keep improving in order to keep their jobs, but that's the changes that I would be more open to or possibly expecting as the particularly special teams, but the coordinators.
So let's talk a little bit about the Dolphins. So the Steelers going down and playing the Dolphins. Yeah, man. What do you see from this game?
I guess first of all, I'm surprised we're talking about it in the middle because it's obviously the marquee game of the week. It's Monday night.
Monday Night Football, yeah.
Yeah. Again, who makes these fucking schedules, man?
Give the fans what they want, and they have said it loud and clear from the halls of Pittsburgh to the beaches of LA, La Diego. We want the Steelers. We want them all the time. No, actually, you're going to get a surprisingly subdued level of quiet confidence from me. The Steelers obviously got to win this game. The Dolphins traded all their players. They have nothing, no will to win almost at all, it seems like. But these are the types of games the Steelers struggle with. They struggle against bad teams. I would also say, like, look, they have steadily improved, but this is a team that, like, doesn't have, like, a real offense yet. Like, they're getting their once backup quarterback back from a concussion. In a normal season, I'd be like, why would the Steelers get a bye week before they play the worst team in the NFL? This is the worst. But I actually think this is a blessing in disguise. The Steelers needed a couple weeks to A, get a little bit healthier, and B, to practice. Like, they just need to practice together. Like,
Yeah.
These guys need to get an identity and be able to throw the ball down the field a little bit and to just do the things you do to win a game without having 2 defensive touchdowns or 5 turnovers or whatever. So I'm excited. I hope to see incremental gains again this week. I hope Mason's healthy. I want to see him being a little bit better than he was in the first half against the Ravens, which I think was still an improvement. And, I want the defense to look good. And I know that particularly you, Joey, were pretty high on the Steelers defense, but I'm actually pretty nervous about the loss of Stephon Tuitt. I think he's the best player on the team up to the point he got injured this year. And my only confidence is that, Javon Hargrave is playing for all the money right now. So he's going to come out with a fire and a fury. Can he control that fire and fury? I hope so. And if he can, I think the Steelers can continue to be basically a top tier defense this year and be competitive and continue to be the second best team in the AFC North, which they are right now.
We'll see. We will see. Yeah, I don't know. I guess for you, hopefully they can play as good or better than they did against the Chargers. The defense, that is. The defense kind of did surprise everybody. Not that the Chargers have been playing very well this season, but yeah, I mean, it was effectively a shutout. So.
Yeah, I mean, they put, 3 weeks in a row? Was it Bengals, Ravens, Chargers? Was that the last 3 games for the Steelers? I mean,
it's Bengals, Ravens,
pretty
Chargers,
good
yes.
defensive performances.
Yeah.
Miami doesn't pose much of a challenge. I think the only chance Miami has is Ryan Fitzpatrick
yeah.
is always playing with house money. And so you never really know what you're going to get out of him. It just depends on turnover luck, basically. Like if he gets lucky and starts dropping bombs, like the Dolphins can be in it.
He had a great second half against the Steelers last year in Tampa Bay. The Steelers jumped out to a big lead, and they
another Monday Night Football game.
Yeah, 3. So yeah, he has a history of playing well against the Steelers. It's not a gimme, unfortunately. Like, the Steelers are in a position this year where, like, games just aren't gimmies. Like, Mason Rudolph could just play really poorly. That's like a real life thing that could just like happen.
Yeah. And Duck Hodges goes in and saves the day.
Quack.
So unlikely. Love Duck Hodges, but he's not going in unless there's an injury, which obviously none of us are cheering for.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, Miami's not good, so they've got that good slot receiver Wilson that's barely played at all this year. Fitzpatrick is tricky. Their running backs aren't special, but they're capable. If the Steelers come in and don't tackle well, the running backs will have good games. Just like Joe Mixon can, except he's better. But if you just come in and don't tackle, Joe Mixon will have 100 yards without any of the offensive linemen playing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
hasn't happened yet, but
they got to take it seriously. The Steelers have to keep getting better and not think about the opponent at all. Like, they just have to continue polishing, particularly the offense, establishing an identity, and hopefully keep the injury bug at bay.
I think Mike Tomlin's rubbing off on you, man. Just play good and don't think about the opponent.
The standard is the standard.
Standard is the standard.
It's honestly, he says it, but the Steelers, this is the game they lose every year, except they're usually good. So that's why I think they'll win this time, because usually they just will lose to the worst team on their schedule. They just do that.
Nice.
I don't know. It's really frustrating. And it'll be frustrating now because, I mean, I had higher hopes. I thought there was a chance that the Ravens would lose to Seattle, although I did pick them to win that game. And that would have really... Man. I am a smart man. I prove it time and time again on this podcast. I think the Ravens are a good team. I'll give you my quick 12-second state of the division. The Ravens are winners, and everyone else is losers. That's the way it is right now. They find a way to win games, even when they don't deserve to necessarily. And the rest of us find a way to lose games when they probably deserve to win. So right now, can't pick anyone to be competing with them at all until something changes. This is a great opportunity for the Steelers to do what the Ravens did early in the year, which is take an inferior opponent and put them in their place and, keep getting better.
Yep.
Let's go, Mason.
Like the Ravens did in Seattle on Sunday.
I didn't watch it, so I'll just take your word for it.
Yeah.
It was a good game. It was pretty close. Russell Wilson's really good.
2 defensive touchdowns. I was actually glad I didn't podcast with you guys because all I was going to do was make jokes about double moves and Marcus Peters, and that obviously would have made me look like an idiot. It'll still happen, so I'll just make the jokes when we talk about the next game they play.
Mm-hmm. Give it time. It'll happen.
Yeah. You guys have any thoughts about the Steelers? They're just going to win, right?
Yeah, I think, Miami's so bad, and I think even if the game is close, a la Miami-Washington, even if the players are, deserve to win, I think the coaching can fuck it up for them, like that awful 2-point conversion play call. But I don't think it'll be particularly close. The Steelers' defense is so good.
TJ Watt does have an abdominal injury.
Hopefully... this is the game following a bye week. Mason Rudolph can get comfortable enough to test the waters vertically a little bit and open some things up and kind of hopefully they can get enough margin where they can play around a little bit and try some things and give Mason Rudolph some confidence.
Yeah, maybe get Vance McDonald back involved. I know you don't like Vance McDonald, but on this team, arguably their second most talented receiver, and he's been pretty invisible because the backup quarterbacks always struggle to read the middle of the field. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity to.
Yeah, Monday Night Football against a Ryan Fitzpatrick Florida team. Last year, that was the day Chris Conte died. So
yeah, he did some bad stuff to him.
Maybe Vance McDonald kills somebody on Monday.
Dude. He'll definitely embarrass the shit out of somebody if they get him the ball.
That was actually the first turnaround game for Fitzpatrick too, right? He was on fire that season, and then the Steelers just picked him off 3 times in a row, and then he was just all downhill for the rest of the season. So
it was the beginning of the end of the magic. Yeah,
it was one of the first games after the gold chain interview, stealing Deshaun Jackson's clothes.
Yeah. All right. Well. I'm trying to hold off, but let's talk about the Browns going into Foxborough to play the New England Patriots. Now, at the beginning of the year, I had a big ol' W on the schedule for this one, for the Browns against the Patriots, because nothing would be more fun than seeing the Browns go into Foxborough and put Tom Brady in his place. That's it, right? Yeah, man, I'm trying to stay optimistic, but with the way that the Browns have just been completely shooting themselves in the foot, they're running on stubs, man. It's tough. It's I know that everyone's got the Wayback Machine and everything, right? And everyone's got the whole hindsight and say, if it wasn't for this, if it wasn't for that, but if it wasn't for all these penalties that the Browns have been inflicting on themselves, they would just be so much of a better team, Baker Mayfield this year, 5 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. You heard me correctly. I did not switch those numbers. 5 touchdowns, 11 interceptions on the year in going into Game 7. So it's a little tough. Maybe we'll talk more about it in the review as far as why I think that is and why that might be the case. But let's talk about I guess how the Browns win this game? I don't know.
I got you.
So first, oh yeah, what's up? What you got?
Run the damn ball.
Right. Yeah.
That's it, man.
I mean,
the Patriots defense is ripe for the run game. The closest game they've played this year was against Buffalo. Frank Gore, who's like 75 years old, ran for 100 and some yards on 17 carries against this Patriots defense with very little threat of a passing game.
Right.
From Josh Allen and company. Last week, in a fucking blowout where you basically abandoned the run game, Le'Veon Bell had like 70 yards on 15 carries. You can run the ball on this defense. I think the Browns have more talent than the Pats on the roster. The challenge is Bill Belichick makes Freddie Kitchens look like the fucking coach from The Waterboy when it comes to like coaching level, and that's what the Browns have to overcome. Yeah,
for sure. So you actually stole it out of my mouth, man. So the Patriots are actually 22nd. I think it's like 22nd or high 20s in run defense so far this year, and they have not faced very good or like run strong teams so yet, with the exception of, again, I guess maybe the Jets, right? Which is tough to say. So I think that Nick Chubb, and also just that aside, Patriots aside, period, the Browns have been successful in the games that Nick Chubb has been the focal point of their offense, right? That has to have that like cohesion. That has to happen, right? Freddie Kitchens has to figure this shit out and say, I'm going to play to the strengths of my team, right? The other thing is that, so offense-wise, Rashard Higgins, again, I know we said he should have been back last week, but this week, he, like I said yesterday, he actually has projected fantasy points this week. So I think he's going to actually play. Like, we'll see what happens, right? But the offense seems to be like it'll be at full strength, effectively, right? I'm not sure. Well, I guess if you want to say with the exception of Kareem Hunt, right? Defense-wise, right? Denzel Ward and Greedy Williams are supposed to be back, right? That could be a huge deal with Tom Brady this year. So I don't know. I'm not sure. So yeah, the other thing too is that the Patriots have not run the ball themselves very well this year. I don't remember where they're ranked as far as like total rushing yards, but they have not been rushing very well this year. So the interesting thing is that one of the weaknesses of the Browns this year has been their run defense, and their pass defense has been really, really good, with the exception of like, one or two games or whatever, right? So, obviously it's a tall order to go into Foxborough and play against Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and say that the Browns' pass defense is going to excel. But by far, it is probably one of the best pass defenses that the Patriots have played so far this year, maybe with exception of the Bills, and we don't really know much about the Bills just yet, who only let the Patriots put up 16 points this year, right? So I think that's a pretty big deal. So I think that there is potential on the table, but, it's just like if the Browns need to stop hurting themselves this year. It's so crazy. Like in years past, it hasn't been this bad. I feel like this is like the worst year that I've seen the Browns, that they've just been consistently damaging themselves every single fucking game with bad decision making by Freddie Kitchens and with bad penalties, bad challenges, just all around. So what you guys got?
I honestly would, if the Browns weren't, and I mean this with love, if they weren't such losers, I would pick them to win this game, because I agree with everything you said about the defense. I actually think like man-to-man, especially with Josh Gordon going on IR, and they just signed Mohamed Sanu, so he's going to be like, he might play, but like he's not going to be running any sophisticated timing routes or anything yet. Like, I think they can match up okay. You always talk about how Joe Schobert is an awesome cover linebacker. So like James White will probably still have some catches, but he's not going to break the game wide open. Maybe Mac Wilson also pretty good in coverage for a linebacker. And you guys have the most feared pass rusher in the league who is notorious for hitting quarterbacks after the plays, which a 42-year-old Tom Brady is going to be super afraid of. And the only
super upset.
Well, but he's still afraid, right? Like
Right.
the only thing that gets Tom Brady rattled is the idea of getting hit. He like falls down, he gets all freaky deaky, and Myles Garrett will hit him. So he's going to want to throw it even earlier. I know that's a little bit of a jab at Myles Garrett, but I actually think it plays kind of in his favor here because Tom Brady, the only bummer is that he's not rushing right up the middle. Tom Brady really hates those guys running right up the middle. So if you can run some stunts where he's like looking Tom Brady in the eyes as he's about to hit, that's how you can really get in his head. Yeah, the running game stuff I pretty much agree with, aside from the fact that they can't block, and Bill Belichick will almost assuredly coach to take the running game away because his secondary is good and Baker Mayfield hasn't been getting it done. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the Browns have the talent. And like you said, the Patriots haven't played a tough schedule. But, I mean, is it possible that the best team they've played this year is the Steelers, who maybe aren't good, and definitely aren't good against the Patriots ever? So, I mean, this is a talented team they're getting ready to play against, and they're a bit injured. They're not all the way there. Tom Brady kind of up and down, and they have a crazy pass rush that they shouldn't have to blitz. Don't be blitzing. Write your coaches a letter, Justin. Say no crazy 5 or 6 person blitzes.
Mm-hmm.
4 people. If you want to run a blitz that has 4 people every once in a while, that's fine, but don't get all crazy. Don't be dropping Myles Garrett into coverage more than like 1 because Tom Brady's going to see it. 4 people, pressure. I want them all to be very large men, and I want Tom Brady to see them coming, and then you have a chance.
Well, luckily, all 4 of them are very large and very proficient at what it is that they do. Yeah, so another thing is that so Jarvis Landry came this week, and apparently in an interview, he was asked what is expected of the Browns, I guess, from the Patriots, however the media phrases it. And he says, well, we're going to win. We're going to win. It's just that simple. We got guys healthy again, and we're going to win, right? So apparently everyone's like taking this as like a big thing, like out of context, and like what else do you expect the guy to say, First off,
it's kind of a guarantee.
First off,
I mean,
so what do you expect him to say? The other spin zone, all right, Jarvis Landry has won against the Patriots in some pretty underdog games in his career. I think that's pretty fair to say with Miami, right? So, maybe he's got some extra juice going on with it, right? The other thing about it, though, is that apparently he was taken severely out of context when he said that. He ended up, I guess, retracting his statement or whatever and clarifying, we're going to go there to play to win, is what he said, which to me was just one of these, like, what? That to me was, like, heartbreaking, especially from someone who's like a focal point for motivation on the team. That seems just so shitty. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you can't guarantee a win and then be soft.
Exactly.
And pull it back.
Exactly.
But you shouldn't guarantee a win against Bill Belichick anyways. I think what you say is the Patriots are a very good team. They're very well coached. But we believe in what we're doing here, and we're going to see how it plays out on the field. Like, it's not that hard to give. These guys have been doing it their whole careers. Everybody in that locker room knows how to give. You never see that quote coming out of the Patriots locker room.
Yeah.
They all say the same shit all the time, which is nothing.
I just listened to your guys' last Thursday podcast. It's already been established that Joey is tall and that he weighs enough. Now we know he can do the interviews. You're basically a running back in the NFL, Joey. It's
right. Shoot. You get it.
All you need now is the talent, the strength, the speed,
and
bunch of other shit, but you're like well on your way. I love it. Closer than me
Some
and Justin right
HGH.
now.
Yeah.
Justin wants him to guarantee wins, and I kind of liked it too, frankly. The Patriots manufacture these stories. This is classic fake news media taking just another player, being a professional, and you're not out there to lose. You're like, yeah, we're going to go win. That's what we get paid to do. It's very simple. And then someone runs and tells a story. And like, dude, the Patriots have been doing this stuff for years. And honestly, if they still use stories like this to go out there and win, they're just as pathetic as I always say they are. You're pathetic. Your whole organization's pathetic. And it's almost over. This is a baby toy. I'm not even going to threaten you with anything. It's almost over. The Browns are ending you this week at the hands of a Myles Garrett roughing the passer penalty. Probably the fourth. Just gonna
shatter Tom Brady's clavicle.
Right, and he'll get kicked out of the game and suspended and fined and everything. I'm sure it'll be glorious.
With old guys like that, it's always a hip. It's always a hip.
Yeah, the Browns have also had an extra week to prepare, which, as far as coaching goes, do we really know how significant that is? I don't really know. It's tough as a... Again, we'll talk about coaching and all that stuff next week when we go over the review, because let's see how the game unfolds first before I just fucking lay the axe down.
I will say a couple more things in the Browns' favor is, so Greedy and Denzel have been full participants in practice this week. They're both expected to play. That's a plus for an injury-riddled Patriots wide receiver core. You get to match up potentially Denzel on Julian Edelman, and then nobody else really scares you. Mohamed Sanu, Philip Dorsett, whatever other rookies and misfits and cast outs they have in their wide receiver core. And the Patriots are playing without their starting left tackle. Wynn is his name. He's been out for a while. And their center, Andrews, is out. So they're vulnerable now, if ever. They've had pretty poor injury luck. They just put Josh Gordon on the IR. So you can take advantage of them. Like at some point, you can only scheme so much for a talent disparity.
Right.
And the Browns are very, very talented, and that's their shot in this game. Freddie Kitchens is not going to outcoach Bill Belichick, even after a bye week. It's just not going to happen. But
dude, I'd love to see the Browns do some sort of funny business defense where they like bracket when James White is on the field, him with whichever linebacker he's on the side of, and like maybe also TJ Carey, like where you got like a fast guy and a tackle guy, and like, because I mean, it's basically him and Edel, and like they'll do some clever route combinations to get the other guys open, but it's basically like James White and Edelman. They're the ones that have all the timing down. They're the ones that look at the defense and see what Tom Brady sees. They're the problems, and if you can address that, then you're a long way towards home. Good luck, by the way. No one does it. Nobody does it. Yeah. It's really easy, just nobody does it.
Yeah. So, yeah, we didn't mention, but this game's going to be at 4:25 on Sunday, so the games are sequential this week, so we have no excuse not to watch all of them. So, it'll be good stuff.
And we didn't talk much about the Browns being on offense. They have to protect the ball.
Yeah.
The Patriots defense has been really opportunistic. Also, the Browns have a rookie punter. Bill Belichick teams are very, very well coached on special teams. They've been blocking a shit ton of punts this year.
Yeah, Gillian had his first blocked punt last game.
Touchdowns and short fields, just by the nature of where you are when you're punting the football. So protecting the ball is paramount, obviously.
Yeah.
Like it always is, but especially when you're fighting the uphill battle of the Patriots in Foxborough. If you turn the ball over, you're fucked.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just how it is.
It's going to be a problem too. Like, they always have a good pass rush, even if you've never heard of any of the players. They're going to have some idiot come out of nowhere like Kyle Van Noy or whatever and just be awesome. And so they can basically crowd the line of scrimmage and make Baker make a quick decision or get sacked and prevent you from wanting to run the ball because you got so many people around the box. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough sledding. It's a rough game for you to hope your team finds an identity on offense for sure. Good. So sorry.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Again, like I stress it, for every touchdown that Baker Mayfield has thrown this year, he has thrown more than 2 interceptions. Like there's a million ways you could frame it, but in my opinion, that one just kind of just hits me hard in the feels. I don't even know if Deshaun Kaiser was. I mean, well, Kaiser was not good in the red zone. Let's just leave that there. But yeah, man, Kaiser also didn't have the talent, but whatever. Anyways, it's fucking tough, man. I don't know. I hope that Higgins coming back builds the identity. I hope that they do a strong run against the Patriots defense that is, again, like I think 22nd overall in run defense. Yeah, man, I really hope that they bring back whatever magic they had against the Ravens, which was, the identity, right? And everyone even said the same thing after the Ravens game. Like, this is the fucking Browns that we saw last year, right? And then after that, they went back to trying to get cute, So, I don't know. We'll see.
Here's kind of a global question about Baker Mayfield, because you've been talking these interception ratio stats a lot, and it got me to thinking, do you think Baker Mayfield is the 4th best quarterback in the AFC or the 5th best when you factor in the Declan Hodges start?
Jeez. I'll answer that. 5th. I'll answer that next week. Or find out on Tuesday. Find out on Tuesday how Justin responds to that fucking ridiculous question. Run the damn ball, he says. Yeah.
It's going to be tricky, though, because, dude, I think the offensive line has been playing better than maybe it seems, but man.
They're improving, I think, right? And so I was actually listening to the Tomahawk Show, and Joe Thomas talked a lot about if you're not familiar with the Tomahawk Show, it's with Joe Thomas and Andrew Hawkins from the Cleveland Browns. Joe Thomas was talking about the complexity of the offensive line and how important it is that those guys know and understand each other and feed off each other, as far as because with the offensive line, it's kind of difficult, right? When you're running a route, you say, I know I go this far, cut right, and do what I'm supposed to do or whatever, right? You kind of have this predetermined thing that's memorization, and Andrew Hawkins, who was a receiver, says, yep, I mean, that's pretty much it. But with offensive line, there's a lot of communication that has to happen without speaking, right? The idea of okay, well, as the play progresses, they've got 2 guys over here, I've got 1 guy, I chip him, and then I have to look over and see if those guys need help, kind of a thing. And there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen between those guys. So I think it makes sense that as the season is going on, they're getting better, and that communication maybe hopefully is developing. And yeah, I don't know. Kush had some shit penalties last game against the Seahawks, so he needs to figure his stuff out. But I don't know.
We'll see.
I teased a fun fact last night when we recorded the recap podcast, and I am here to present it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The Patriots have the number 1 defense in the NFL.
Right.
Their top 2 leading tacklers are Jason McCourty and Jamie Collins.
Yeah.
They were both defensive starters on the 0-16 Browns in 2017.
Yep. They were. Revenge game.
Oh.
Jeez.
Oh man, I think they already got their revenge.
Yeah. In the form of from 0-16 to Super Bowl champions. Yeah. So I don't know. I I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there was a lot of money and stuff and picks that had to go with it, but I don't think they should let it go of Jason McCourty. But neither here nor there at this point. But
what percentage? I mean, we're all gonna pick Patriots except for Justin, maybe. So let's put this a different
Browns.
way.
It is.
What percentage chance do you guys think the Browns have of winning this game?
God,
I'll lead while you think about it. I think the Browns have a 43% chance of winning this game.
Whoa.
I think they have a good chance of winning this game. I really do. The Patriots don't just win every game during this dynasty. Like, they go 12-4, 13-3 occasionally. They had one undefeated season when, like, a juggernaut team, like, they lose a game. This is a type of game that they might lose, especially if it weren't at home. But, like, dude, sometimes they just lay an egg. Sometimes they just stink. And it doesn't even matter how dumb Freddie Kitchens is or how a little bit behind Baker's throws are. Like, it doesn't matter. They just lose. And I think there's 43%.
Yahoo Fantasy thinks 2%. So
well, that's just based on people's
what do they
picks.
know? Yeah. No, you're right. Joey, what you got? I'm gonna say 51.
Oh. I was gonna say a 25. Everything that I've presented is reasons that the Patriots are ripe for the picking, so to speak. Which is exactly when the Patriots surprise you and change up who they are and kick the shit out of what's in front of them. So I think the coaching disparity is going to be very evident, and I just don't trust Baker to reel it in enough to not make the fatal mistakes.
Yeah, against a very good defense.
I think there's a 25% chance that he does, and if he does, I think the Browns probably win. If Baker Mayfield throws no interceptions, I guarantee a Browns victory. How about that?
Whew.
Headlines. Hot take.
Way to hedge my hot take.
I fucking honestly, man, how like beautiful would that be? Especially with Joey being like fantastic in the pick'ems this year. Like, he's just got that pulse on this NFL season that like nobody can figure out yet. But yeah, man, that'd be pretty wild. So you know who else has a 2% chance to win based on Yahoo pick'ems? The Dolphins.
The Dolphins.
Yeah. So
Dolphins and Browns, basically the same team.
More or less as per Yahoo Fantasy.
Steelers and Patriots, basically the same team.
Basically the same team. Same thing. Cardinals and New Orleans, 98-2. So, yeah, man, we know where everyone stands. All right. So, anything else you guys want to talk about? That kind of wraps that up, I guess. I'm ready for this game to happen. I'm excited to see it, and I'm excited to watch what happens until the first quarter's over. I'm sure. But I am excited for it legitimately, just to kind of see, because like even with some of the games that they've lost in earlier in the season, you know, like we've come on the podcast and I've been like, yeah, they lost, but I'm actually happy with the progress they made or whatever. So I think this will be interesting to see what happens.
It's always like that for about 48 hours leading up to the game, and then he just like snaps the ball and like knows exactly where everybody on the defense is and throws like a 7-yard pass like 12 times in a row, and they score on their first drive. And
Yep.
God damn it. Sucks so much. Just sucks so much. So I hope your pass rush gets home. Otherwise, it's, just going to be another game.
And then the Pats are up 3 points with 1:40 seconds left in the first half, and Brady drives down and scores a touchdown, and then they receive the ball after the second half, and they do the same thing, and then you're down 17 points, and you're fucked.
So I had a dream. I told you guys about this dream, I think, but I'm going to tell everybody else about this dream too. I had a dream the other night, and I don't know why, but that it was 7-7 just before the half, and the Browns got off of an interception from Tom Brady. The Browns scored a touchdown on the drive from the interception, a short drive from the interception, and it showed like, this was in my dream, it like, showed Tom Brady on the bench is just like madder than shit, like going into halftime, Browns up 14-7, and I was like, man, what an awesome fucking dream. And then I realized what a horrible dream, because that's what always happens, and then Tom Brady comes back after the half and wins the game 54-14. Like, fuck. But we'll see. I don't know. If that happens at halftime, I'm more or less psychic. So, yeah, send me money.
So another test for Freddie Kitchens is the halftime adjustment.
Yeah.
Patriots are going to make adjustments constantly, but especially after halftime.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to try to anticipate and come with something fresh. The long week should help. I mean, they've had a bye week to prepare.
Yeah.
And based on the coaching disparity, which Joey illuminated for us all well, I think that you should really be hoping real super, just all sorts of energy into the Browns having a halftime lead.
Actually, sorry, yeah. I hope that the coaching disparity is so big that Freddie Kitchens does some shit that's so weird that Belichick is sitting there like, what the fuck is he doing? And can't figure it out so much that it seals a Browns victory.
Like when Tony Sparano rolled out the Wildcat.
Yeah.
And the Patriots were like, what the fuck is happening right now?
All right.
There you go. Take Baker off the field. Nick Chubb is now the 5th best quarterback in the AFC
North. No, 4th best. Never mind. Anyways, so that being said, let's wrap up those games. And do you guys want to do pick'em picks? Talk about those at all, or
sure.
All right.
Also, Nick Chubb would then be the second running back playing quarterback in the AFC North. How about that?
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna do
about Lamar.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Just took a second, man.
We're going to get into some of our picks. 2 picks particularly that we like to talk about every week, our mistress and our heartbreak picks. So the first one we're going to talk about is our mistress pick. So you have your home team, right? I got the Browns, and obviously that's my pick, and that's the team I'm focusing on. But there's that other pick out there that I'm looking at, and I'm like, ooh, that's juicy. That's nice. That's wonderful. Let me get a piece of that, right? So that's going to be our mistress pick for the week. Let's roll it down left to right as we always do. Joey, what's your mistress pick for this week?
My mistress pick for the week is in a game that starts 20 minutes before the Browns game starts. So I promise I'll at least watch 20 minutes of it. That's my season-long mistress, the Panthers, traveling to Candlestick Park, or whatever they're calling it these days in San Francisco, to take on the 49ers. They've been fairly good this year so they were 0-2 with injured Cam Newton, and they're 4-0 with not injured Kyle Allen, who's had some fumble problems, and that's a little bit concerning, but the Panthers defense is good, and they're fun. Christian McCaffrey's a cheat code type of guy. Hopefully that can nullify some of that fierce San Francisco pass rush. But San Francisco also hasn't played very many people to play the same song over and over again. The 49ers have faced the 8th easiest pass offense schedule and the 4th easiest total offense schedule. So their defense is certainly formidable. We saw that against the Browns on full display. But I will be rooting hard for the Panthers. And I will say that I did pick the Niners in the pick'em, but I do have the Panthers plus 6.5. So
I don't watch a lot of television, but I was on an airplane with a little screen, and I saw a stat on ESPN that basically showed that Christian McCaffrey's rushing stats are basically equal to Ezekiel Elliott. And his receiving stats, this is for this year, are about the same as Mike Hilton's. So basically, Christian McCaffrey is like the best of all things. How crazy is that? Like Mike Hilton, #1 wide receiver on the Colts.
Yeah,
Like,
Ty. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah,
or
T.Y.
sorry,
Hilton.
T.Y.
Yeah, I was about to
Hilton.
say.
Sorry. I've
Yeah.
got the Steelers in my brain. I'm so
Yeah.
excited about
It's
this
all that
Miami
sun
game
just
this
roasting your fucking Steelers brain, man.
Yeah, pretty much. But no, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I considered this as my next game to pick because I think Carolina is a tricky team. I think San Francisco is like, look, these teams, they don't, can't say it enough. They don't just win every game. Like, you got to lose eventually. I picked Carolina to win this game. I think this could be a game that San Francisco has a little bit of a lull, and Carolina is on a hot streak. There's this rookie quarterback. He's playing kind of above his head, right? So there's not tons of tape. They're constantly evolving the offense little bits here and there. Christian McCaffrey can just do everything. So how do you stop that? And I'm not very confident that that's what's going to happen, but I did pick Carolina as a possible surprise victor. So I like this game. It's going to be fun.
My man.
I picked the 49ers, man. I don't know. I don't believe in Kyle. What's his name?
If they can beat the Browns, they'll probably go undefeated for the season.
Exactly. I mean, that's the litmus test. Objectively.
Tennessee.
So,
Tennessee's
them and the
clearly
Titans.
got a
Yeah.
dynasty going.
Yep. All right. Did you have a mistress pick, Chad?
Yeah, well, let me ask you guys this because I'm behind on the news. What's going on with Mahomes? Is he how
I don't
He's
think
out
it's
a few
official yet,
weeks.
but he's
at
out.
a
he's out?
dislocated meniscus.
His
All right.
kneecap, yeah.
I can adjust. Okay.
Well, then I'll
I
go
was
because
gonna-
that was actually my
No.
mistress. That was my mistress.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I picked the Packers because I'm fucking all in on the Packers, man. I don't know what it is, but going into this season, I was like, man, the Packers are gonna be fucking doo-doo this year, like absolute doo-doo this year, because all of their best assets got traded away. You know, Aaron Rodgers is upset because they've been doing all these moving around and not consulting him or talking to him about it or whatever. And they just got rid of their head coach, which was probably for the best. Or this was my opinion going into the season, obviously. However, I don't see where they've really improved all that much. And boy, was I fucking wrong. And so far from what we've seen from the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, their defense has been fantastic. Aaron Rodgers has just been Aaron Rodgers turning people into superstars. So against a Kansas City team that everyone has just been riding so high on, I know that Patrick Mahomes is not going to be playing, but I don't know. I'm excited to see this.
All right. I mean, I think it would be more fun with Mahomes, but I love the Chiefs. I don't know. It's gonna be, I don't know, without Mahomes, it's just like less exciting. But the Packers and the Chiefs are both like kind of Super Bowl contenders, so it's a great Sunday night game. It would be super great if they had their starting quarterback. We'll see, you know. Hopefully it's not a letdown game for the Packers, you know. And they play well, so you know.
I think I just like watching teams like the Chiefs just get fucking stomped. So I think that's what
Why?
I'm looking forward to. Because I'm a Browns fan. That's why.
So teams like the Chiefs are like teams that are having success. They
So
haven't,
what's
like,
your pick,
won in a long time.
Chad?
I just don't get it. Like, everybody likes the Chiefs. They don't win too much for anybody. They haven't won a playoff game since like the 90s.
Yeah, but they got freaking robbed. What was it? Was it last year or the year before against the Titans? Like, I still can't believe, and I'll say this every single time.
The
every
forward
single
progress. Was
100
that the
times
forward
out of
progress
100.
game?
Yes. 100 times out of 100, I'll say, like, just how ridiculous that was. Just utterly ridiculous. So
Also in
and
the
even-
same game, Marcus Mariota caught a touchdown pass from himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of hilarious. Sorry, Mom.
Yeah. And then last year, how the Chiefs got, again, robbed, I think. So, I don't know. But
Well, I'll go to my game. I mean, I'll be Chiefs, and I hope they play well. The defense looked good against a completely inept Broncos team. I think that will be a lot harder for them to put up the same kind of performance this week. You know, it'll be a good test. You know, you got to survive some injuries. A lot of times quarterbacks don't play all 16 games, so they still have to look competitive, and this is a good opportunity for them to try and do it. The Packers haven't run a lot of people the field. Like Aaron Rodgers hasn't had his best game yet. They've run the ball pretty well, so it might actually still be a close game. I'll take a slightly different bent on this. I'm kind of excited. This is a 1:00 game, and I lost it, but I'll find it again. Damn it. Oh, yeah. The Eagles at the Bills. The Bills aren't supposed to be good, but they are. And the Eagles were supposed to be really good, but they're not yet. So, like, what's going to happen with this one? I'm excited to see it. I took the Eagles, but I think I just keep picking the Eagles because they're supposed to be good, and it's not like working. It's not working out at all. So I'm excited. You know, you got some good young running backs in this game that may not even play really. Miles Sanders and Devin Singletary. You got some, you know, talented defensive players. You got young quarterbacks that have the sparkle of a lot of fans' eyes, and Carson Wentz, Josh Allen. So this will be a fun game. Be a fun game for two fan bases to just one of them is just going to be so upset when they.
Yeah, the Eagles are like the Falcons to me. Do you guys know off the top of your head what the Falcons' record is this year?
I think
1-6.
Yeah, what the fuck?
I don't know.
Like
who
they were
beat,
supposed
though.
to be good.
Yeah.
Like I have no idea who they beat.
It's like crazy how the Falcons were like riding high, and then they lost that Super Bowl and they just turned into like just dog shit. And I think that's the part of the Shanahan experience drink. So yeah.
Dude, that defense was supposed to be good now that it had all its players back, and they
might be like the worst defense in the league.
Wow.
But I said that to say that so I've been done with the Falcons this year, and I think after last week I'm done with the Eagles. Like a fucking fool, I had the Eagles last week plus like 4. And then they lost by like a zillion points and looked so bad. So I'm on the Bills. They just have a favorable schedule. I'm down with a team that plays defense and runs the ball, and the quarterback might be a better runner than a thrower. I'm familiar with that. I like it.
Yeah.
So the white Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen.
Interesting.
All right.
Also, for Justin's game, I picked the Packers. Interesting note, though, Matt Moore's like 20-11 as a starter in his career.
Ooh.
I picked the Chiefs in that game. I also didn't know if Mahomes was playing or not, and I'll be cheering. So a lot of deep analysis there for sure.
Completely objective.
Do you guys remember like 3 weeks ago when I told you that Byron Pringle would have like 200 yards receiving just because every receiver on the Chiefs gets to have 200 yards receiving? Dude, like the next week he had like 6 catches for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like this is crazy stuff. You guys look up their depth chart and just pick any wide receiver, and if he hasn't had 100-yard receiving, he will. I promise. That's a fun thing. All you
Also,
gotta do is make the team.
While we're picking on Chad for not being prepared, just because I know that Chad can handle it, he said that Aaron Rodgers hasn't had his best game yet this year. Last weekend, when Chad didn't watch football, Aaron Rodgers threw for like 4 touchdowns and ran for another and had like 500 passing yards.
Yeah.
It happens. But the Chiefs are a better defense than that, so.
But what I did learn about football that relates directly to Aaron Rodgers is alligators and crocodiles only exist together in one place in the world, and that's the United States in Florida. And the alligator has a very wide circular snout. Crocodile has a very narrow snout, and their teeth, you can see them outside the mouth going each direction. So Aaron Rodgers hasn't had his best game yet. Think about it.
Wow. Profound stuff, guys. If you were questioning life, hopefully that solved all of your problems. Anyways, let's talk and move on to our mistress picks. Our heartbreak picks. So these are the picks that you, when you're doing your pick'ems at the AFC Northcast, because I know that's where you do all your pick'ems because you've joined us in our Yahoo Pick'em League. And it's never too late to join if you haven't yet, So, but this is the pick that you just kind of close your eyes and click, man. You're just like, I have no idea. This does not feel good, but this is who I ended up picking for it. So, Joey, who was your heartbreak pick this week?
So every week this turns into like, what are two shitty teams playing each other?
Which is not what it's supposed to be, right?
For me, at least.
Yeah, it should.
I've scoured the schedule this week to try to find a good teams that I'm not confident in who's going to win.
Yeah.
But instead I landed on Chargers at Bears. So the Chargers suck, and I think the Bears suck too.
Yeah.
I predicted on the We Got Game podcast, it might have actually been here, not really sure, that the Bears were a playoff team from last year that was not going to make the playoffs this year. I said that their defense was going to regress. They lost their defensive coordinator. They're not good, man. And I don't know if Mitchell Trubisky's going to play or not, but it doesn't even matter because he's a starting quarterback by title only.
Yeah.
And they're doo-doo. But the Chargers are doo-doo too. And the more touches that Melvin Ingram gets, the less efficient their offense is statistically. So
yeah, Austin Eckler's
I don't know what either of these teams are. So the Bears are at home, so I picked them.
Yeah.
And Khalil Mack's probably the best player in that football game. So advantage Bears.
Yeah. I picked the Bears for that one as well, actually. Chad,
So did I. I got the Bears. I mean, I think I picked the Chargers last week, and they lost to Tennessee. And if you lose to Tennessee, then you're done. You're done for me.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why I told you that the Steelers are better than the Browns, and the fact that you listed them as third in the division is very upsetting. The Browns, we're not going to get into it, but you lost to Tennessee by 40. Terrible. Team's not good.
Yeah.
All right.
Tennessee's really bad.
Let's we're on a clock, guys. All right, so what's your heartbreak pick, Chad?
And I'll tell you why this is always bad teams, because basically how I look at it, the first pick is like a game that I'm excited about that I don't really know what's going to happen. So we already talked about two games that I considered using for this pick. One of them was the Panthers 49ers, which I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm excited to see. And the other one was the Chiefs and Packers. That's a game that I kind of just I'm cheering for the Chiefs, so I'll pick them, So now I have to pick bad teams too, because my other ones have already been covered. So I'm taking Tampa Bay at Tennessee.
Damn, that's what I was going to pick.
I can do a different one.
Go for it. I can pick another one.
I was going to say, I've got another one for you.
Yeah.
I think that Tennessee just stinks, but they win. They win almost half their games, but they stink. And Tampa Bay, very similar. I think they just are terrible. Jameis Winston throws an average of 2.5 interceptions a game, I think. But it's not it's consistent. So it's 3, 0, 4, 1, 0, 0, 5. So
right.
I just don't know. If he has a good game, they'll probably crush Tennessee. And if he doesn't, then I don't know. They'll lose to Tennessee, which is disgusting. So I picked Tampa Bay, but I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
Jameis Winston threw 5 interceptions in his last game.
Right.
It was in London. Throw it out.
Dude, They beat the Rams the week before that. Didn't they?
And he threw for 5 touchdowns and all the yards.
So I don't know. Tennessee's defense is pretty good. But
I picked Tampa Bay because I cannot pick for the Titans for the rest of the season. We've gone over this. It just is what it is, guys. So Tampa Bay.
I'm still on the Titans. They're 7-9, so I think they're 2-4. They're a 7-9 team.
They're 3-4.
So they got to come. so they got to come back to the median. So pretty much be 500 all year until the last game. They'll be 7-8 and playing for the last wild card spot in the AFC against the 7-8 Colts or Bills or Browns, whoever. And yeah,
that's
Go
fair
Titans.
analysis.
Tighten
That's
up.
a fair analysis. I am very nervous about my pick now.
Man, like literally everyone I wanted to pick for a heartbreak was discussed. So let me run down here, I guess. Joey, you said you had another one. What's the other one that you had?
Jets Jags.
Yeah, me too. That was gonna be my next one.
Man, yeah, I'm excited about the Jets though. I don't know, man. I don't know what it is, man.
You
can still
must
be
not have
excited.
watched Monday Night Football.
I know, against the Patriots, right? They like stuffed him completely. But Sam Darnold's first game back, man, he fucking killed it. And at the beginning of the season, I was like all high and mighty up on the Jets until Sam Darnold kissed like a fucking 14-year-old or something. So I don't know, man. But
I also can't emphasize enough to not take a game against the Patriots as the gospel for what a team is.
right.
Like the Jets are probably a little better than that.
Right, and also roster-wise, I mean, they have a good defense. I don't know where C.J. Mosley is at right now because I don't really follow the Jets. But, and Sam Darnold, I think, is serviceable. With as bad as their offensive line is and the fact that he's performed, period, the end, is impressive. Maybe a little bit of buyer's remorse. I don't know. I don't know. But we'll talk about that next week. But, yeah, I don't know. I like the Jets, so I picked the Jets on that one. I'm all about Minshew mania, but after the sad performance against the Bengals, like ridiculously sad performance against the Bengals, I'm excited to see the Jets.
I took the Jags. I'm jagging on this one.
Yeah, I'm jagging off too.
All right. Well,
It's crazy though. I don't usually pay attention to this, but on this Yahoo app, these games, like everyone's picking all the same teams. The percentages are crazy this week. Like everyone is just very, very much like.
unless you're an idiot like
all the
me,
same teams.
so But
I always try to pick a couple underdogs.
right.
I took the Eagles to beat the Bills. How are only 30% of people picking the Eagles to beat the Bills? Is that
I don't
dude?
know.
The Bills aren't that good.
Only 30% of people are
it's like,
picking the Bucks to beat the Titans. So I don't know.
I took the Bucks too. That was my other, and the Panthers 12%.
And who are these 98?
Oh, and I took the Raiders too.
Oof. And who are these 98% of idiots on Yahoo Fantasy that think that New England's going to beat the Browns? What a bunch of fucking schmucks.
Dude, I think that's a mistake. I also think, dude, like the Steelers, Dolphins, this is not a game that they win 99 times out of 100. Maybe 80 out of 100, you know?
Ooh, I forgot to mention it, but I talked about it a little bit last podcast. I think that the Dolphins are actively, like, in contention against the Bengals for, getting that first round pick. And if you didn't listen to the last podcast, I talked about it like 2 or 3 years ago or whatever, when the Browns went like 3-13 or whatever. They had not won a single game, and there were so many games that they were so close to winning, but just somehow mysteriously found a way to lose the game in the last 2-3 minutes. But then the 49ers won their first game of the season, so the Browns instantly turned around and won their first game of the season, like that same week or whatever. And so yeah, I think that the Bengals and the Dolphins are competing like the 49ers and the Browns were a couple years ago. So the Dolphins are going to actively try to lose. And then when the Bengals and the Dolphins end up playing each other, Week 11, it's going to be like a Benny Hill / Three Stooges version of football to see who can lose. So
I actually heard, I don't remember who it was, but they said that both teams might just refuse to come out of the locker room at halftime, not knowing that the other team also refused to come out of the locker room at halftime.
Nice.
Just to prepare you guys, that is totally going to be my mystery game for Week 16.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already fired up about it.
All right.
No rabbits out of the hats this week, Fitz. You put that rabbit back in that hat, sir.
Save it for the Bengals.
Yeah.
That's right. You
Week
save
16.
You save that stuff.
All right, everybody. That's gonna wrap up NFL Week 8 preview. We have one interesting game this week, I think it's fair to say, and we all know which one that is. But other than that, I'm excited to talk about next week and review these games. Ravens will be coming back off the bye to play the Patriots. So, basically the Ravens are going to have to live up to the overwhelming victory that the Browns put on the Patriots. So the Ravens have a lot to do to try to make sure that they can, perform at the same level. So that'll be interesting. But we'll talk about that all.
If the Patriots lose this week, I think that guarantees that the Ravens lose next week.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think the stats are pretty well set on those.
Go Pats this week.
Nice. But, that's it. So we talked a little bit about Pick'em. Hey, it's never too late to join the Pick'em League, all right? AFC Northcast, we have our Pick'em. We had, Dylan and Chad that both joined towards the very end of the season and came up, snuck up behind, and almost won a couple of weeks last year. So it's never too late. We didn't talk about winners of the Pick'em last week. We had someone last week that literally only got one game incorrect, and that's fucking outstanding. That's crazy.
It was the Ravens game.
Yeah, it was the Ravens game. Who was that? Do you remember?
I don't know who the people's picks are.
Yeah, but whoever the people's picks are, man, killed it. So, me not so much, man. I'm fucking sucking this year. It sucks. Oh, hey, Chad, we're tied. Anyways, join the Pick'em League. Have fun with that. It's good stuff. We'll talk about it. Maybe we'll talk to you and about you on the podcast if you can manage to come out on top for the week. Other than that, hang out with us live on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We had a couple interactions this time. We had a lot more interactions last time, which made it a ton of fun, so we look forward to that. We will put up the polls this week that it will ask you who you think is going to win each of the AFC North games, so that'll be fun voting that, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Be sure to post some comments and interactions and stuff on that, too. We can talk about that if you guys have anything interesting to say. And, that's going to wrap up this week. Feel good? Anything else you guys want to throw out there?
I think we've assembled a really good collection of talent. If you pick 55% of the games correctly, you're probably winning bets. Justin, you and I are down towards the bottom of the pick'em at 56%. Highly profitable gamblers, you and I. So congratulations to everybody. Big round of applause. Pat yourself on the back for just being part of a collection of very smart, savvy football prognosticators. Keep tuning in, making smart decisions, and I will eventually pass you.
For those of you that are not watching live, Joey just gave the literal round of applause followed by some excitement because he probably is sealing his bets that he made this week with the Vikings.
It's been dicey so far. I'll fill everybody in. I'll paint a picture for you. So the Vikings are up 10 points on the Redskins with about 3 minutes left in the game in the fourth quarter. They were driving down the field and incurred 2 holding penalties in a row. I have the Vikings minus 16, and so I need a touchdown here. And so the Vikings were facing 1st and 25. And on 1st and 2nd down, they ran the ball and gained 6 yards. So they were facing 3rd and 19, and they ran the ball again, but they fucking converted. First down on the 15-yard line. Let's go. With 2 minutes left, the Redskins have 2 timeouts. It's a 10-point game right now, so the Redskins are out of timeouts now.
They're just gonna run it out, dude. You lose.
But even if they run it, they could still score.
No, they're going to kneel.
I need it.
That's the gambler in you, man. They could still score, man.
But I'm telling you, this would not be
an
interesting game to somebody that didn't have minus 16. Betting on football games makes any game you bet on. odds makers are so good at picking lines
Yeah.
that it almost guarantees that you're going to be interested in a game until that, at least towards the end.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's weird. Like last season, like Joey and I were like flipped, but ever since Joey got into gambling, and I don't know, I guess I lost the magic, man. I don't know. But ever since Joey got into gambling, man, he's like fucking killing it in the fantasy league right now, man. Killing it. So basically go with Joey's picks. So all right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this week. But thanks for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening and interact with us live. It's good stuff. It's good fun. Facebook, Twitter. Excuse me. I keep saying Twitter, but that's not the case. Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Good times, good stuff, good fun. 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Check it out. We'll be back on Tuesday to review these games. Actually, we might be back Monday, depending on what Dylan's schedule is. We haven't figured that out yet, but you will know for sure which one of those two it is. Regardless, if you just like at 9:30 every night, just hang out on the Facebook page, you'll probably win anyways, because what other better place is there to be than the AFC Northcast? So, but thanks for it all, guys. We'll see you Tuesday.
See you then.